lovely souls. Welcome back to the Awakening to Your Soul Self podcast. I'm so excited for this episode. Not only have we both been through Julie Jantz's Angel Reiki school, she's also a certified Angel Reiki master, intuitive guide, an energy mentor. She also has her own podcast, Intuitive Wisdom Podcast. What's really cool about K. Margaret when I was kind of researching her is that her background came from the science world. She bridges the science world and the spirit world together. She also takes spaces of houses and homes and aligns that energy. I haven't had anybody talk about this recently on the podcast or I don't think any episode whatsoever, but I've been talking to this about my mom just a few weeks ago. I was like, Mom, my room just feels so stagnant. I don't know how to kind of clear that energy. So I'm going to ask her those questions because I'm a firm believer that we do need to like kind of move the energy in the rooms, not only with her and herself. So welcome, Margaret. I know that was a long intro, but it's
Oh, I'll
what
take
Spirit
it.
was bringing through.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Perfect. So I always start with all my guests is kind of tell us a little bit about yourself and your spiritual journey up to this point.
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, like you said, I clear and reset energy in homes so that the space feels calm and supportive and aligned. My spiritual journey really started, I was always kind of interested in it in the background, but it really took off during COVID. I felt like my life before COVID was kind of a horizontal marathon and I was just kind of holding it together. Looked really great on paper, but didn't feel so great as I was living it. Then that horizontal marathon turned on its side and became a vertical, and it felt like everyone wanted everything at the same time, and I just could not keep up.
Right.
I could not change the world around me as much as I pretended I could. So then I got to the place where I was like, well, I can't, you know, world's on lockdown. What can I do? There are happy people in the world, so this has to be a
Yeah.
thing. So that's when I started looking inward. I came across meditation, started with just a minute timer on my phone after work each day. That was really difficult in the beginning to just sit with my thoughts, but slowly
Yes.
started to extend that, kept that up as a daily practice. After a few years, I noticed my hands were really hot after meditation. Then I looked up
Ooh.
what that was. One thing that could be was to be a sign of being an energy healer. Then I started looking up teachers and following Julie Jantzis. You mentioned we both studied with her. After I followed her for about a year, I said, okay, I want to do that Angel Reiki school. I thought it was so interesting that it combines. I've always been very interdisciplinary, even in my scientific work. I studied biotechnology. So there was always these connections. So this idea of learning Reiki and mediumship or just opening that door fascinated me and I really enjoyed it. So I did that for about a year after graduating with people. It's opened up my world. There's just no words sometimes to describe I'm a visual person. I see a lot in my mind's eye, and to witness other souls is a beauty beyond what I had ever seen before. I really very much appreciated that, learning more about angels and working with archangels. Having that open up for me, knowing I could ask for help, has made me a much calmer, happier person. I wouldn't say my life's changed much at all from the outside, but from the inside out, completely different. And then I started getting, you know how sometimes the universe starts putting things in front of you. And
100%. Yes.
yeah, those wonderful angels were dropping hints of spaces. Like I'd hear a podcast about it, or something would come up somewhere else. Like I would just keep seeing it. And I, at some point, kind of got a little frustrated. And I sat down to journal one evening and I was like, all right, spirit guides, what gives? I love spaces. When I
Yeah.
grew up, we moved around a lot. So I had a lot of experience seeing other spaces, living in other spaces. I was kind of generally aware that spaces held energy, but I never had the language to put with it. So when I was journaling that night, I said, well, here's what I've learned. Here's what you're
Right.
showing me. How do I go from A to B? Like, I don't get it. And I got a bit of a divine download of how I could map the chakra system and the Reiki healing with spaces. I work now mostly remotely with a blueprint and go room by room, just as I would have done remotely on a body graph for a person. And I get lined up. Each house is different, but the rooms line up with the major chakras or energy centers. And that is more like when we do the mediumship, what's a good way of describing that? You get kind of little clues and pieces. And the more you do
Yeah.
it, you get this like glossary of, okay, this symbol means this for me. So I know if the angels bring that in front of me, that's what they're trying to tell me. Same thing with the home energy clearing, but now it also includes these energy centers. So if I see that a room lines up with being a chakra, the crown chakra, then I know, oh, this is a great place for them to connect to spirit or have an altar to ancestors. There's something to do with that. Like it's another clue of how to read the energy in the space. And yeah, I've just gone from there.
It's beautiful. I think my first experience of that was actually in this house. My parents bought this house 2015, and I was with them house hunting when I would come home for college. I stepped into because this is a mother-in-law apartment that I'm using for my space. Hindsight is 2020, but we stepped into this part first. Before I knew I was like intuitive and stuff, I said, Mom, this is the house. Like I can't describe to you
Why?
how I know that, but this is the house. A couple of weeks went by and I was already back in college. She said, we just bought it. And I was like, the one that I told you to buy? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, yes. And it's hard to describe to people, like those energies that you feel, because not everybody believes in that. I mean, it's so palpable. Like, I couldn't explain it to her, and she believed me. Because,
Oh,
like,
that's
throughout my whole life, I've always felt energy, but I just thought that everybody could. So I was just like, Mom, like, I just feel this. Like, there are certain houses that I couldn't go into. I always bring it back to the story where my mom and her best friend went to go see a medium, and we pulled up to the house, and the energy was just so vast. Not like in a bad way, but I just was like, Mom, I can't go in there. And she's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. I can't explain it. So I sat in the car while they had their session. So I'm very curious about how you feel the energies in the rooms. And I love that you align it to the chakras because that's what we learned, right? We learned about the
right.
chakras and we learned about how each chakra feels different and different messages come through different chakras. Can you kind of go through this a little bit more, like a little bit deeper into like what clairs do you use when you're doing this work? I'm a little curious.
Yeah. Well, I would say definitely my sense of sight for me. So, kind of like Julie described that movie screen in your mind's eye. I see a lot. Sometimes it's colors, sometimes it's images, sometimes it's literally the space, the energy moving through the space. When I see that, it often
Ooh,
looks like the weather maps sometimes the weather people use where
yeah,
the air currents have like arrows of the way they're flowing. I'll
right.
see that for the energies through
Ooh,
the space. Angels often for me come across as brightness, but I also get a feeling or that knowingness, and I hear. My intuition is often a whisper, so sometimes I'll hear words, or sometimes a full message. I had a couple new experiences with my last reading. So when I start the sessions like we learned
yeah,
with Julie, where I draw a circle and the top half is for loved ones coming in and the bottom half is for angels, and I ask who's here, who's stepping forward to help with the clearing. I work mostly with I find that in these sessions I get more angels than loved ones, and angels are doing the alchemy work, so they're doing the work. I find that maybe one, maybe two loved ones step in, but they're just making their presence known. They don't help with the clearing work as they used to with physical bodies.
right.
But what I was thinking of was this past one, there was Mother Earth energy. I had never worked with that before.
Beautiful.
That came across on the mother's side, and it made sense once I have do a follow-up report and then a follow-up consultation with my clients. And when we had the consultation, the client confirmed how that worked for her. So I always love that too, when you get messages and they're not for you, so you just have to relay
Yeah.
and then they make sense later. But the Mother Earth energy or spirit gave a whole message at the end of the clearing. So I just wrote that all down. So sometimes I hear like a whole message and not just a word. And then I go room by room. I do as I would in person. So I start with the outside perimeter, any outdoor space, and go
Okay.
around the house. And then I go in the front door and I clear all the doors. Each house seems to, how do I say that? So when I worked energy with people, I don't know how it works for you. I would always get some sort of symbol for each person of, okay, we're done here. Next time to move on to the next one. And that also happens now, but I also get pulled more into which modality to use. If I work with crystals, some
Okay.
houses are pulled more to crystals. So I will intuitively pick from my crystal collection and put them down on my desk when I start. I do stage the space where I work and myself before I start. Then I'll kind of just be intuitively guided to where to line up the crystals, and that might change during the session. Like I might move them to a different room or a different space.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's sound. I have a sound bowl I use. So the
Oh, beautiful.
doorways, there was a home recently where the doorway is kind of separate from the room. Usually it's one clearing for the doorway and then the room and then back out. Every doorway in her home required sound for clearing. I always love to talk about intention and blessing. I still speak even to the angels when I'm working because I think that is just so powerful. We forget how powerful our words are. But those are the main modalities there. Each space kind of pulls me in a different direction, and I just go room by room, ask if there's anything else, and go with that flow.
Beautiful. Mine is interesting because I'm a visual person, but I don't see when I do
Oh
intuitive
yeah.
things. So the way that Julie always describes it is there's always, I think it's like 1 in 10 or 10% people don't experience that particular gift. And I feel like I'm part of that 1 in 10 where when I close my eyes, I just see dark. I just see black. But if I open my eyes and kind of focus on my mind's eye, I can see a little bit more than if I were to close.
Okay. Yeah, I don't
And
always close my eyes, but I
oh, okay.
in the mind's eye.
So, and then when I would go through the chakras, I would get a lot of auditory and feelings.
Okay.
So, like, I would hear, like, okay, the chakra is done, go to the next.
Mm-hmm.
Or I just wouldn't feel anything anymore and I would move
Yes.
on. So, when you were saying, like, you were trying to figure out, like, when's the next time to move, I'd get both. Or I would get one or the other, depending how the angels are really coming through. The energies are so different. Like you're saying you're doing remote. Same thing. Energy is there's no like physicalness to it. You don't need to be with a physical body. That's why I offer my sessions both in person and remotely, because energy there I can feel your energy from all the way over there. So like I had somebody in my cohort who was from Australia and I could feel her energy when I tapped in all the way from over there. So I think it's beautiful that you're doing remote because how can you
It's
clear
so much
everybody?
fun, isn't it? I feel like even though we have so many signs and get so many validations, we're still human. And so when you have that experience, you're like, wow, so cool.
It's so cool.
Another
Energy is
validation.
so cool. So cool. So with your energy work within the home, is it just energies or do you like work with the energies of the furniture? Because everything is, do you like suggest certain things to be moved or removed depending on the energies, or is it just like, you know
The
what I'm saying? Like, I
angels
don't know how to
do.
describe it.
I know exactly what you're saying. So traditional like feng shui, you come in and you look at the layout
Yes.
relative to the geography and the energy of they have their own system, kind of like the chakras, where the intention for this space is the kitchen. All right, the kitchen also means this, and this, and it demands this, and this. So there's a very mapped out system. The energy I do isn't so specific because I don't necessarily see the furniture, but I always get messages and I always relay
Oh,
them.
okay.
So let's say I've had some where like it's a high traffic area and the angels say this builds up really quickly. Would be great if you want it. It's all I love how loving and subtle spirit is. So for me,
Yes.
it always comes across as like, if you would like to, there's always more. So if you would like to, you can add a rock crystal here to help absorb that. Or I'm getting a lot of, sometimes I see it in earth elements. I feel overwhelmed with like water. And then I
Mhm.
think, okay, that energy is really flowing through here. That needs to be grounded. Maybe bring some earth elements. So whether that's an earth color or earth texture or nature, how to balance that energy in this space. Sometimes they pick up on specific things. I had a reading once where I cleared the front lawn kind of, and I got
Okay.
this image of like old car parts, and at
Oh,
first I was like that's odd, why would I get that? So in my report I actually dumped it down a little bit, no offense to the angels, and I said there's some old things that are hanging out in the front, green space
yeah.
that you'll want to move to the back of your property because it's impeding the energy flowing in. And she was looking for more opportunity and abundance to come in. I was like, that's a obstacle for the energy. She wrote back afterwards and said, "Oh yeah, my boyfriend has old car parts out there." It's like, "Oh, I should have listened."
I
Some
hate when that
people,
happens.
they lived way out in the country. I just didn't think about it. My ego took
Yeah.
over apparently. Sometimes I do see specific things or like you said, everything has energy, but we also have emotional connections or energetic connections
Yes.
to everything. So I had a woman once who had inherited a coffee table that was beautiful and lovely, but she tripped over it all the time. It took up a little too much space and she didn't want to get rid of it because of the
Hmm.
shame of having inherited it and it being nice. So, working through giving yourself grace, working through those emotions, allowing yourself to let go. A lot of energetic work in the home has to do with letting go because that then energetically creates space for what you're wanting to call in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, sometimes
Okay.
it is things.
I ask this because I have my grandmother who's passed. I have her red blanket that I have on my bed, which doesn't go with anything in my room. I just feel connected to it. So I was one, that's why I asked the question, because I was like, I wonder if certain things are having these energetic connections in the room.
Absolutely.
With your home frequency reset kind of work that you do, should there be certain things in should there be certain crystals in certain rooms or areas of the house?
Each house is different. I'd say, in general, learning to care about how you feel and to be able to hear and listen to your intuition are key with that. So, if you're feeling, for instance, that the space is not very grounded, you kind of feel airy and floaty through it, then a crystal is a wonderful grounding piece. So you could
Okay.
get black onyx and do that. But with crystals work, I always say follow your intuition, whichever crystal calls to you, that's the one ready to work with you. And then to learn how to clear the crystal regularly so that when it
Right.
does build up energy. Yeah, I think caring about how you feel and then noticing it. And a lot of the work I do, and one of the reasons I love it, is that it's about small tweaks or small investments you can make that raise the vibration. That the whole intent is really how can we raise the vibration of your space so that it's supporting you and you feel more loved and energized and wonderful. And then that's how you approach your work in the world. So little what comes up in almost every session is light, air, and nature. So a lot of
Yeah.
us inherit lighting. When we move into a house, we don't build the house, we're renting or own the space. So think about where you can add lamps or different lighting that supports you. That's not just what came with the space. That also, I just love opening the windows every day. That for me is a big
Same.
refresh. Not everybody can do that. So if you could do a nicely scented candle or herbal, what's it called? Essential oil spray,
Yep.
that can change the frequency of the air and help raise it. And nature, that one I love to play with your favorite scent. Again, I love my sense of sight, so I have lots of nature prints around, or sometimes get a fresh bouquet of flowers. If you like smell, then naturally scented candle. If you like your sense of hearing, then you put nature sounds in the background very softly. So it's the idea being something that's a subtle shift that lifts you up and then that extends. I think we so easily tolerate less, we just get used to it and we forget we can curate the space for ourselves. I think a lot of us think about it when we host others. When you have somebody over to your
Yeah.
space, you're very intentional of, oh, I want the entryway to be clear, like so when they come in, they smell
Yeah.
cookies, or they come in and they hear this lovely music, and this is setting the vibe, the tone, the mood, the energy. It's all the energy, right? Or I want them to flow this way through the space to get their food, and this is where I want them to sit. It's really intentionally kind of laid out for our guests, and we forget you can do that for yourself too. Oh, if the
Yes.
color is really calming for you, this is your sanctuary. It's where you're meant to reset and rest and feel, re-energized. So, what can you tweak to make it more for you?
Beautiful. And I love the way that you talked about the light, air, nature, sounds, because that's like one of the first things that I do when I get up is I crack open the windows, open the curtains, because I love the natural light and the air. Well, not in the winter, but like right
Right.
now I have them all cracked open. And then, for example, my mom loves plants, so she has some house plants in the living room. You can just feel purification of the plants, but you can also feel the energy if you walk in the living
Yeah.
room versus another room. It just feels different. And I think that's because of the nature, right?
It is, yeah. And it's a subtle difference. It's one of those things where if it weren't there, you probably wouldn't really miss it, but it is
Right.
there. It gives you pause for appreciation or to smile or to feel, like you said, another energetic being in the space that's positive. It's just a little bit of a, uplift.
Beautiful. And I ordered your book. It's not hasn't come in yet,
Oh,
but I would love
wonderful.
for you to talk a little bit about your book and the concept of junk thoughts, because that's one of the reasons why season 2 came about, is because A, I have anxiety and I am an overthinker. And the angels have been working with me this year to kind of learn to quiet them, because not only they're my own thoughts, but society, and there's so many outside noises that adds to our thoughts. And I'd love for you to talk about it, because those thoughts, like, I never thought about it until after I went through the Angel Reiki school, is that our thoughts and our words are energy as well, and that it affects how we feel and how we can connect or not connect to
And
not only
that you
spirit
have
but
a
others.
choice. Yeah. What
Yes.
was new for me in that conversation was that you have a choice, and this idea that you are not your thoughts, but you observe your thoughts and then you can choose the next thought. And I love what Julie taught us about the difference between the intuition and the ego, and how those intuitive thoughts are lighter and the egoic thoughts are heavier handed and kind of a lot of those junk thoughts. Yeah, so my book is called Make Easier Vibe. It's available on Amazon, and it came about from I'd say the first 3 years of my personal development work. I learned so many little shifts and almost like life hacks. It felt like that I was like, I have to tell everyone I can because this is great. Who knew? I didn't. So it talks about mindset shift and kind of those thoughts and learning to choose your second thought. My favorite analogy or metaphor, more of a visualization for that, it comes from Abraham Hicks, and this idea of a train and a thought train, and giving yourself grace if you've kind of been on that path for 20 years or whatever it is. That changing your thoughts is, like slowing down a steam engine that's going full blast. It's not going to happen now, but it will happen eventually. You just have to kind of keep at it little by little. And it makes a huge difference. I'm now able to compliment myself when I look at myself in the mirror. That took years, but man,
Right.
it's way better on this side. It's enjoy that. And yeah, it relieves some of the pressure of the day. And that's why I called it Make Easier Vibe, because I want ease to be part of everyone's day and not something that we just save for vacation, but to allow life is what we experience. And so
Yes.
that feeling, that energy, that experiential quality, I feel like when I was growing up and learning, I didn't learn to put value on that. I learned to put value on different outcomes. So there are lots of little examples like that. Just made me think of how I learned like a champion is not created in a day when he or she earns the trophy. The
Right.
champion is created every day when you wake up and show up. So, like when I was writing the book, that took me years to get over myself to write. And I was like, well, if I show up 15 minutes a day, I'm a writer. I can call myself a writer
Yes.
and I will get it done. But today I'm a writer. This is great. So it was like these little steps. So there's mindset information, how to help you shift that energy information. That's when I first learned about the law of attraction and how you can become you are your own magnet in life, and that the world around you is reflecting your own energetic signal. And that
Yeah.
helped me take things less personally. When someone was kind of mean to me or it felt mean, I was like, well, what in my energy is reflecting this back? I
Yeah.
didn't get angry at them right away. I was like, why am I a magnet for that? No, thank you. And that brought me to some more limiting beliefs and how I could work through those. And then it also talks about time, because for me, changing my relationship with time was huge. I think because I did grow up in this very in school, and then when you go into the workforce, a lot of times your value is in the clock. Are you here from this time to this time? Great,
Yeah.
check, you're good. It's not on the productivity, it's not on the quality, it's in this quantity of time. And so now I was doing things for myself, and I was being hard on myself and putting all these limits and putting the value on the time and not the change or the transformation or the productivity. And so learning not to race against time, but to say, I have more than enough time for everything, change that cosmic order and work through it that way also helped me get more into that energetic flow, that higher vibration. And once you, just like Julie taught us, once you raise your vibration on a daily basis,
Yeah.
it helps everything else.
It's such a difference. Like if you start your day in oneness energy, man, your day is already on a good foot.
Yeah. Do you ever listen to Abraham Hicks?
I have not yet. Yeah, he's
Oh,
on my
okay.
list of things to listen to.
You'll love Esther Hicks if you do. I started before I met Julie. That's came up in my beginning of my personal development journey. They have a great visualization for that too. They say if you go through life, if you vacuum, you can vacuum all day and make lines on the rug, but it's not until you plug in the vacuum that you're actually getting something done. So until you
Ooh.
connect to oneness or give yourself that chance to tune into your higher self or to spirit, however you want to put that, until you really plug in, it's a different experience.
It is. I've noticed, like, if I don't start my day in oneness, just the day, I feel like there's just way more obstacles in the day. Or I just like, I'm not so in tuned with myself. So now I've begun to just start my day with oneness. And it's not like this full blown meditation. Sometimes it's just like, all right, I just want to be in oneness and take a few deep breaths because it
Mhm.
does make a difference. There's so many quotes out there that's like, start the day off on the right foot. And it does really make a difference. And energy, man, is everywhere. Being empathic, I just absorb other people's energy. And I end the day with just like releasing everybody else's energy because it's hard.
Yes, and knowing that's available to you all the time. I think that's another thing Julie taught me. I was actually really frustrated with her when I first learned meditation is just a tool. I was like, wait, but I love meditation. It got me here. She's like,
Yeah.
no, that's not the goal. Oneness is the goal. It's just one of the ways you can use to get there. I was like, oh, right. Okay. That helped me ease some of the, I realized that my meditation practice at that point had been limiting. Because, like you said, you can just take a few deep breaths or take a minute for yourself, tune
Yeah.
into yourself. It doesn't have to be in a special place at a special time with special music. You can really tune in whenever you want to reestablish that connection.
Yeah, and talking about being empathic, the angels were whispering to me, you probably feel other people's energy because you're not the only ones in your home, right? So the home is also picking up other people's energy, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And experiences. One of my favorite examples that I think we can all relate to is if somebody's had an argument in a room and you weren't there, and then you walk into the
Ooh,
room right away, somebody had an argument with them and
yes.
giving you that update. So there's this energetic residue. It naturally builds up over time in the home, kind of like dust does. I call it energetic
Yeah,
dust,
yeah.
often collects in the corners. But then there's this additional, if there's a big life transition or if there's been a big argument or whatever it is, sometimes there's more sense of needing to clear. But yes, I have gotten better at being vocal. I think when I grew up, it was difficult, a little traumatic. I think it was a survival mechanism that I turned that
Mm.
on to keep myself safe. I could read the situation and then I just acted accordingly. Now I understand, okay, wait, it doesn't have to just be a survival technique. It can also be this helpful skill, tuning in and asking if someone needs help or allow, respecting that each person has their own journey. I've learned that too.
Yes.
Stay in your own lane as much
Hmm.
as you might know the solution, they need to get there. How can I be supportive? Or if someone is feeling down, knowing that although misery loves company and they would love me to come lower my vibration if I actually stay positive and don't take on that
Yes.
energy, that's more helpful. They'll then naturally rise at some point. But yeah, lots of different energies.
Yeah. Is there like, let's say, like a routine that comes with the clearing? Like, should we be clearing X, X amount of days, X amount of weeks, years? Because energy can build up, like as you were saying, and energetic dust in the corner that starts to build up.
Yeah, I think it really comes to tuning in how you feel. If that helps you feel better, then yes, do it regularly. I think this year, my opinion of that has quite changed. I've kind of come out of a lot of my routines and I try to
Mm.
feel into it more. So if I get the nudge, that room needs some help, then I just stop what I'm doing and I go pick my modality and clear it. So I think it's more about feeling when you're just like we learned the
Yeah.
intuition of the ego. where that heaviness is. That's that stuck energy. So if you walk through an area, or if you, sometimes it's an upgrade. So we used to have chip cereal bowls, like soup bowls in the house. And because when
Yeah.
I grew up, I learned you don't get rid of anything until you really can't use it.
Yes.
So
Same.
yeah. So they were usable, but they made me sad. They made me sad to use them. They made me sad to wash them. They made me sad to set the table. And so in doing this work, I realized that's really energetically pulling me down unnecessarily. I'm a big girl and
Yeah.
I own this house now. I could go ahead and just chuck those and go
Check
buy
them.
some
Yep.
new ones. And it didn't cost, I think it cost $20 for 4 new bowls. It wasn't the end of the world. It's been years and I still get excited to use those for my cereal. Sometimes it's noticing, oh, this stuck drawer. Could I spend 5-10 minutes and make it flow? And every time that's an uplifting experience and not a heavy experience. Noticing those moments in your day where you feel that energy drag. Or, like you said, if you're in tune a little bit more and you're just walking through, you can feel the pockets or
Yeah.
feel that it's not grounded, or feeling like it's flowing well, something's off, then there probably is stuck energy that you can clear.
Beautiful. I'd love to talk about your podcast because you have one as well, Intuitive Wisdom, and your mission is helping people feel energetically at home. Can you talk a little bit about your podcast? Because I'd love for other listeners to tune into yours as well.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I love podcasting. It's such a cool platform. And it just, yeah, connects us in so many different ways. Get to have awesome conversations. And even listening,
Yeah.
I've listened to podcasts for years. You feel more connected that way too. I started it, well, for lots of reasons. In the past couple of years, I've been really looking in, curious about how different people experience intuition. Because, like you mentioned
Yeah.
earlier, we all receive those messages a little differently. And also encouraging us all to listen to it because it is so easy to dismiss in my experience. So that is often how I start the conversation. But then as I've grown in my home energy work, I find that a lot of the personal development and the spiritual awakening and this kind of work also relates to that energy and how we relate to the energy in our home. There's often a bit of both.
Yeah. The work that you do is so amazing because I don't think I've really heard of home energy healing before. Like, I've heard of feng shui, like letting go of, certain items, like materialistic things, but I've never heard of the concept of energy healing in your home, which totally makes sense now. You've just opened my eyes to a whole different modality because it's so true. Energy is everywhere and everything. And it does get a little stagnant sometimes, and you just need to clear it out. Like, I've heard of saging and things like that, but having a blueprint of your home and just either walking through or just feeling the energies I think is just amazing.
Yeah, I think I love I loved in once I get into this work, meeting women like you who are just growing and evolving. It felt such supportive work to say, hey, you're doing all these amazing things in a space, whether you're working or
Yeah.
creating or just working on yourself. Let's look at how that space is supporting you. A lot of times we just forget our space, or we set it up when we were the older version of ourselves and it's not aligned with
Right.
who we're becoming. There's often, whether it's just the clearing and the reset or looking at things that you can start to change to align, it's such a subtle way to support yourself. But there was a quote once, I have to look it up now. I'm just going to not remember it all, but from Mother Teresa, actually, about just imagine a world where when we all left our houses, we were fully loved. We just walk out of the
Ooh,
door feeling heart
yeah.
full loved, how we would all treat each other and interact with each other. A lot of the personal development work is looking at that internally, like how do you treat yourself and talk to yourself, that support of the environment. I think there are a lot of little changes that are so obtainable, whether
Mhm.
it's using the best china for your own coffee or tea, or giving yourself permission to pick this color. There are little shifts that can really support you.
Wow. What type of angels do you work with? I know you work with the archangels, but is there like home clearing angels that you tap into?
No, but I
And
would love to meet them. Good
oh,
question.
okay. Do you find that certain archangels come forward more than others? And if so, which ones?
Yes, but I have a feeling I am what's the right word? I'm the constraint in that flow. I feel like
Yeah.
the angels can only talk to you with the language you have. So
Right.
the extent to which I've studied, like when I first started working with angels, I started working with Archangel Michael. He's helped me a
Beautiful.
lot personally. He's helped
Yeah.
me. I often think of him as sometimes as my guide. Like if I see life, if I get lost and I close my eyes, I see life as a path, and then I see him ahead of me on the path with a light.
Beautiful.
He's helped me a lot, and he shows up a lot. It's not every time, but a lot of times. He's
Yeah.
also wonderfully protective for me. He also is about your day to day and how do you approach that. There's a lot of opportunity with the clients I work with for his support and his team support.
Yeah.
He often shows up. Raphael often shows up, whether that's physical healing or different things, aerial manifestation, and outdoor spaces and animals. Gabriel, or for, I don't know, for you too, I think for Julie, it comes across as Gabriel as a female
Yep.
energy. She often works with me, my clients, on communication, whether it's communication with yourself or others. Sometimes I ask everyone who comes to work with me to set an intention. Sometimes that intention is better communication in the home. So she's often there for those. And also stepping into your feminine power, that comes up through her too. Zadkiel has come up. Metatron
Oh,
comes up
interesting.
sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes there are some that I don't work with as regularly where I have to go to my notes. So you're giving me clues and I don't understand them. So I have to go look up my angel notes and go, oh,
Yeah.
right, thanks. It's a little past my currently retained information. But
Yeah. And
it's
the
a
more
whole
you, the
mix.
more
I've
you
had
work with them.
seraphim too. Yeah, exactly. The more you work with them, the more I learn about them. Sometimes I find I want to write an angel book someday though, because or I appreciate
Ooh,
Julie's even more because it's hard to find. Well, I'll learn about
100%.
a new angel and then I'll go. I love my library. I always go to the library and look up stuff, and I'm like, this is not what
Yeah.
I wanted. I need more information.
Yeah. It's hard. You said you work with the seraphim too, right?
Yes, they have helped actually in my last clearing. It was extraordinary. I think that house has extra energy. It almost felt like it was on ley lines. I don't know where it was. I don't get the address of houses, but I told the owner, I was like, you might want to look this up because there's something happening here that's pretty cool. And they all came in and did a huge uplift for that house. So, yeah,
Beautiful.
yeah, that was fun to watch.
That's beautiful. I really wonder if there is like a home reset angels. If there is, you need to let me know.
I should ask. I always preach. There are so many angels here to help you. All you have to do is ask. I will make a point and ask.
Yeah. So my last question for you is, I ask this to everybody. What do you want the listeners to walk away from this conversation?
Well, what comes to mind and was one of my favorite things is kindness. Kindness is a practice. Kindness is such an
Yes.
easy way to raise your vibration, whether you compliment yourself, whether you just give yourself grace or give yourself permission, whether you just tell somebody else they're doing a good job today. It doesn't take a lot. We all hear that when we're kids, like
Yeah.
the image of throwing a rock in a pond and the ripple effect, and kindness
Yes.
having that ripple effect. But I think energetically speaking, it's such a wonderful ripple effect across your community, your own energy field, your own home. It does take practice. I think it is also a practice where you kind of you form the habit. You think, oh, wait, in this moment, just like we were talking earlier about choosing your own thoughts and
Yeah.
making the second thought the kinder thought to yourself. You always have the choice whether you get to the point where you're ready to not rush through the moment and have a second to make that choice. That takes
Yeah.
practice. But choosing yeah, to be kind to yourself and others, it always comes back to you multiple fold.
Beautiful. Well, okay, Margaret, thank you for your work. I think you're gonna help a lot of people and energies of their homes. I can't wait to read your book. I just ordered it this morning because I forgot to order it when we scheduled. Sophia was like, "You need to order it." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna order it right now." So when I read it, I'll send you a message because I just
Do let me know.
love the idea of it.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being on today's podcast, and I'm excited to see another graduate. I'm always trying to find other people and see what they do after graduating because it everybody experiences it differently, but we all kind of get the same aha moments where we're like, this is what she was talking about.
Yes. And also, one thing I really appreciate is it's helped me step into the confidence of being unique in the world. Because I think, although we're all doing the same thing in general, we're working with energy or being a medium or being a healer,
Yeah,
Nobody does it like you do. Nobody quite uses the
100%.
healing modality like you do. In the day jobs I've had where there's just this sense of always being replaceable, whenever I get to do this work, I'm like, this is fun because there's nobody who does it quite like me and I can still help
Yeah,
people. It's lovely.
we wouldn't all want to be the same. I tell people that all the
No.
time. If we were all the same, this would be a very boring life.
Not to mention that, but we all have different needs. It's like when you
Yeah,
learn and you hear something and you can't take it in, and then you hear it from a different teacher who says the same thing with different words, and it makes so much profound sense. And you're like, "Oh, right, well, there's a fit for everybody,
yeah.
need for
Well,
everyone."
thank you again for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed this conversation. I hope my listeners do too.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, lovely souls, for listening to today's episode. I hope you have a blessed, beautiful day.